So Final Fantasy 6 and 3 getting some much needed love with their villains. Cloud of Darkness makes her debut along with Kefka's rework and EX Plus debut. As always, big shout out to the Tomberry Troop for the lovely infographics that will be displayed in this video. They are a lovely group of people, and if you are not following them on any of their social media platforms such as their Facebook and or Reddit, or giving their website a check-see, make sure you go do so. They're very helpful to the community, and they're very informative, and if you need a little extra oomph in your information, that's definitely the place to go to. So, I'm going to be honest, both these characters are actually pretty goddamn good. This is definitely a pretty worthwhile banner, and let's talk about why. Let's start off with the main character of the banner herself, Cloud of Darkness, whenever she decides to load up. There she is. So, Cloud of Darkness is a DPS delay unit with a stackable frame buff mechanic that gets consumed. Now, we all know how much I dislike those, but hear me out on this one. So, the way that she works is she gets stackable buffs for a frame buff called Darkness. The more stacks that she has, the more overflow that she has. She gains access to more stacks with her skill 1 when she breaks a target, increasing it to 2 to 3, I believe. Her skill 1 is an AoE single target HP attack. She gets access to an HP attack plus. Her skill 2 will consume all stacks upon use. Excuse me. Will consume all stacks upon use. It is a full HP AoE attack that delays all targets by 1 turn. At 5 stacks, though, however, this turns into a massive AoE HP attack that is executed 3 times with 20% splash damage and delaying all targets by 3 turns. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Now, her EX is a 6-hit single target AoE attack, and EX Plus is kind of pretty just standard for what we've been seeing. It allows her to execute twice, allows her to have access to her frame buff at the beginning of the quest, that allows for her counter mechanic, which actually will happen when she takes anyone takes HP damage. It's only a 2-hit single target brave attack, depending on the target that attacked, but it's a nice option to try to cut down and break the enemy when they shoot off an HP attack. It gets 50% splash damage, it gets just potency increases and everything like that. So it's kind of like the standard fare for what we have been seeing for most EX pluses for the most part at this point. But yeah, so Cloud of Darkness, all in all, and her, oh, by the way, her C65 gives her some stacks of that stackable frame buff. So, all in all, Cloud of Darkness is a super powerful delay style mechanic, this delay style unit with a lot of damage. Now, obviously, with this stackable frame buff, her damage is going to come in waves, which makes it a little weird, but for the most part, compared to other characters with buff styles like this, her damage is consistent for the most part. She's usually always hitting solid numbers, and even though her second skill consumes all stacks, even if it's not in its plus variant, it's still worth it to use in certain situations, especially when you're at 0, in order to 1, refill up the EX gauge, which gives you a good amount of stacks, and 2, if you need a quick delay in to set the opponent back. It's a great option when she's soloing, because she's actually a very good character at soloing. I don't really recommend soloing unless you're up for the challenge or you know what you're doing, but she is a very good solo build character, and this is a good method of using in order to get a good start in the fight. She does have a good amount of skill usages, 10 on her first one, 5, I believe it's 5 or 6 on her second skill, and the best part is when it's in its plus variant, it does not use up a skill. So it does not use up a second skill. So you can keep Cloud of Darkness going for quite a while keeping up some really good damage. Honestly, all in all, I think the only real big weakness that Cloud of Darkness has is on team comp. She's relatively slow, and she has no other party utility outside of her delay shenanigans. She's no party auras, no brave battery, no nothing. She's mostly there supplying it all for herself and doing it all for herself, which is fine. That's what she's meant to do. solely just because she has the delay mechanic built in. She's not necessarily a damage doesn't DPS, and by God does she do it well. Honestly, I do think Cloud of Darkness is important for the Chaos era. She's a character that hits hard, unlike no other that we currently have in the game, and one that can delay an untold amounts of times. This character is phenomenal, and honestly, I do think you should be hopping into this banner with some of your gems and tickets. I'm saying this, but again, I stick by what I say on my July overview. You really should be planning on what you're pulling on, because the rest of this month is still a pretty big banger. So, just keep in mind that Cloud of Darkness, I do believe, is important for the Chaos era. She is very powerful and very strong, and a very strong delay style unit. This could be just me. I don't really see many people using her on the JP side all that often anymore, but that's just me. That's my input. That's what I believe. If you do choose to build her up, definitely 3 out of 3 her, because that's where you want to get at. Now, on to the crazy clown himself, Mr. Kefka. Now, Kefka has always been a pretty solid unit. With his rework, it gives him access to some plus variants of his abilities that allow for more overflow and just hit harder, which, in all honesty, that's all Kefka needed. He really just needed the ability to be able to hit harder, and he got it, which is great. With his EX Plus, it gives him access to a double executing HP attack plus with 50% splash damage. Allows him to apply his sneering, clown debuff, whichever one, on all targets at the beginning of the battle, which is really nice. It allows that to set up allows that to immediately be applied, so you can start more debuff shenanigans, and changes his meteor command to Meteor plus, I think. 2 pluses? 3 pluses? I don't remember any pluses. But it is a 6-hit AoE, 50% splash damage, HP attack that does not affect the turn count, does not have any action delay, and has a pretty powerful overflow too. And all in all, Kefka got pretty much what he needed, and that was the ability to do more damage. That was the one thing that Kefka lacked overall in his previous lifetimes, and this EX Plus and rework allows him to do just that. It's still not the best damage in the world, but for a character like Kefka, who's mostly sold around his debuffs, the extra damage helps a lot. He has 6 in total, so his biggest weakness is he doesn't pair well alongside of others, because you might push off those blind and HP silence debuffs, which are Kefka's most important buffs, because those are his most clutch. Kefka has a lot of clutch to build into his kit, solely just around those 2 debuffs, and debuffing the enemy into practically nothing. His generic debuffs do 60% attack reduction, 70% defense reduction. I forget the speed one, but the Sneering Clown further lowers that. You're debuffing them into oblivion, pretty much. Kefka is a very powerful debuffer, and with the additional damage, it helps out Kefka a lot. Oh, excuse me. All in all, I do believe that Kefka is important for the Chaos era. He's a very powerful debuffer and a very powerful character all in all, and he does have a very bright future ahead of him that will actually come out relatively soon. Like, not like a few months soon, but like when we get into the burst era, he's one of the first characters, one of the first few characters to actually receive a burst. I believe he was the 4th or the 5th one to receive a burst. And this makes Kefka, with a burst in LD, one of the best debuffers in the game, because it turns all this stuff framed, and they can't get rid of that. And he gets access to more power, and yeah. I do believe that Kefka is important for the Chaos era. I do honestly believe that. His real only, like I said before, his real only biggest con is running debuffers alongside of him. If you run debuffers alongside of him, you might push off the ones that you need to keep on, like the HP silence and the blind. But all in all, if you're gonna run any other debuffers, make sure it's one that puts on like one at most. But even then, I still wouldn't recommend it. If you're gonna bring a debuffer and it's gonna be Kefka, that's all you're gonna need. So that'll pretty much do it for this one. If you do choose to build up Kefka, though, however, make sure you 3 out of 3 him. But yeah, this will do it for this one. Both these characters are really powerful, and I do believe that they are important for the Chaos era. Kefka is an overall amazing debuffer with the additional damage, it helps out his kit a ton. And Cloud of Darkness is an overall beast of a DPS unit with incredible delay, practically unlike no other. Both these characters are super powerful, and this banner is definitely worth keeping an eye on if you are willing to actually drop from them gems and tickets. It is very much worth it. But that'll pretty much do it for me on this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.